Hello, you beautiful people. So today's video, I am talking about the costs of what it takes to become a worker visa and then a resident here in Peru. And this is from personal experience. This is what it's costing me. I know I've been saying I'm going to make this video for a little while. I finally got all the last expenses in and predicted expenses for the future, so I can finally confidently make this video. Bear with me. I'm keeping all of these numbers in my brain unit right here, so if I stall a little bit, I'll probably cut the video, but just to let you know. So first and foremost, when you're coming to Peru, I'm not including the rent, the plane tickets. I'm literally just talking about what it takes to be legal here as a Peruvian, with a Peruvian visa, or to get a Peruvian residence here. Everything else I'm not including. Now, there are a couple things that I am including that kind of go with it, like taxi fares and stuff. I kept track of mine. That number is going to vary significantly, and I've put that in the lump sum. In a lump sum of just miscellaneous costs. So anyway, let's get started with what it's going to cost you to get your Peruvian work visa and then your Peruvian residence. So the first thing I should clear up is if you want to get your Peruvian residence here, typically the easiest way to get it is to have a visa for 3 continuous years and to live here 183 days out of the year for each of those 3 years. That's once you do that, you can pretty much apply for a Peruvian residence because you've been here for a certain period of time. You've paid quote unquote taxes. Maybe you didn't, but you've worked here. That's going to be your best bet, and that's going to be the easiest way and the least likely way that you're going to get denied the opportunity to get your residence here. So let's start with your worker's visa. So your worker's visa, you could get other visas, but I went with the worker's visa. It was the easiest for me in my current situation with the knowledge I had at the time. I made other videos talking about how you could get religious visas for basically free, but it's a little bit trickier and it's a little bit more like under the radar-y. The worker's visa is like, no one can doubt it. It's not like there's nothing under the radar or underhanded about it. It's just straightforward. You're never going to have any problems. No proof needed to be provided. Anyway, here we go. So step 1 is getting your worker's visa. With the worker's visa, all you need, what I decided to do, typically as a worker's visa, you need a company to sign you on. I, working with my lawyer, we came up with an idea on how exactly to do it. But basically, I opened up my own company and said that I was a necessary worker and my partner was a necessary worker for that company to survive here in Peru. So essentially, I created a company to give myself and my partner a visa to work for it here in Peru. So how much is that company starting cost? Well, with the lawyer I had, these prices can vary based on the lawyer, but I would expect to pay the same price as I did or more because I got a really good price. I happen to be a really good bargainer, and the lawyer anyway, doesn't matter. So for the opening of the company, that was the thing that facilitated my visa. It costed me $670. That was to create the company and to make myself and my partner a worker. I don't expect, if you're a solo person, for that number to come down too much, because the company was already being created and it was just a slight additional work for myself and my partner to create it. But it was $679 to do that. After that was created, it took a couple months. It took a couple extra miscellaneous fees, which I will cover in a little bit later in the video. Then I needed to start applying for my visa itself. That also had some miscellaneous fees. However, applying for the visa costed me and my partner $200 each. So that puts us at $1,079 for 2 people. If you were to do one person, it'd probably be more like $879, but it costs about $200 each. The miscellaneous costs brought us about to $1,200. They might have been a little bit less, a little bit more. I didn't keep track of every single last one of them, but that includes taxis, certain filing fees that weren't included in the lawyer's kind of quote, little small amounts of money we had to send to immigration for them to fingerprint and look at our teeth to make sure we were who we said we were. And then there was one more thing you needed for your visa, which costed about me nothing. but it could cost other people a significant amount of money. I just have connections with certain things, but you need an FBI, thing from the FBI or whatever country you're coming from. You need something that proves that you're in good standing with the government and with the legal system in your country. So for the US, which I assume a lot of you are going to be, is going to be an FBI sheet of paper stating your criminal history with an apostilled stamp on it. Now, the important part about that is it has to be apostilled. That's the only way the Peruvian government is going to accept it. There are other things, but essentially you need to prove you're crime-free, and then you need to have that. The apostilled thing is the most important. If the Peruvian gets something that's apostilled, they're not going to deny it, because they literally told me they don't know what's going on in our country. So if the country's willing to apostille it, or someone of authority is willing to apostille it, then it's done, it's taken care of, and they're not going to look into it too much. Then you need it translated by an accredited official translator. Ask the lawyer. That costed me, I think it was free. I think I paid like $10 for it, but yeah. But for you, it could cost anywhere from $100 to $250, depending on how you go about getting your apostilled background check and how you go about getting your accredited translation. And this did happen to me. I had 2 people who I had connections with that do translations that are accredited or accepted by the Peruvian government. One of them wasn't accepted. So the Peruvian government came back and they said, we don't know who this is. You have to retranslate it. So basically, I sent the sheet of paper with the translations over to the person that I know that is accredited or connected to someone that is accredited. They pretty much just put their own seal on it because it was correct and sent it back, and it was immediate. But yeah, so that was an issue. Now, after that, you have your visa. The visa lasts for 1 year. However, in my particular case, the contract that I have for my company is 2 years. So I pretty much have a guaranteed visa for 2 years. Now, here's where the residence part comes in. So far, we've spent $1,200 to get everything done. So here's where the resident part comes in for this. So you stay for 3 years. Now, there's a bunch of expenses that you're going to pay for living here, like housing, food, all that. That's not included. But in order to maintain a company here, you have to pay your taxes. Your taxes, you have to have some level of income coming into the company, and you have to pay your taxes on that income. Basically, you have to prove that your company is making more than it's spending and being able to pay you and anyone else in the company a livable wage. Now, if you're owners of the company, that gets a little hazy because sometimes company owners will not take any wage to make sure the company grows. But essentially, you're going to have to pay taxes. So I have an accountant that is going to maintain that. You need to maintain it for 3 years to get your residence. Once that happens, you could probably drop the company, but I recommend using your company anyway to do things. You basically use your Rook. You can use your company ID to pay for things and then not have to pay taxes because you're overspending and stuff like that. But anyway, that's not important. You need someone to watch over your company and file the taxes each month. They don't do it yearly like they do in the US, or quarterly like they do in the US if you're a company. Here it's monthly. So every month, that person costs 150 soles. You'd have to maintain that for 3 years. That's essentially going to come out to another $1,200. So over the course of 3 years, it's going to cost you about $2,500 to get residence, and then you're going to have to file for residence, which is going to be essentially the same price that you paid, so an additional $200 per person. So if you're a solo person thinking about coming to Peru, getting your visa, then going all the way through your residence, and you've spent 183 days here a year, the total cost for you is going to be 1,000 plus 1,300 plus another 200. So that's going to be 1,000 plus 1,300. So that, yeah, $2,500 for one person. For 2 people, it's going to be like 2,900. So it's like a marginal increase for 2 people. It might be a little bit less, it might be a little bit more, depending on your situation, who you're working with. But yeah, that's how much it cost me, and that's how much it will cost you to get all that stuff done. And in the grand scheme of things, over 3 years, that's not really that much. I'm sure people pay way more to get that stuff done in the US, on top of having to take residency, like, tests to prove that you know when the Revolutionary War happened and stuff like that. So yeah, easy process. It only really costs money, and it's not that much. And if you worked here, you'd be able to make that amount of money working on a Peruvian salary. It'd be a little tight, but you could do it. Anyway, I appreciate you all. I hope this video is helpful for you, for those of you that are thinking about moving here. If you want to see other videos about my experience moving here and doing all that, YouTube is going to recommend you something right up here. Click on that. YouTube knows you. You're gonna love it. You guys have been kind of dancing together for a while, so click on that and check that out. Otherwise, if you just want to see other stuff as I make it, right here is gonna be a little button. Wow, I'm super awkward. Where is it? Yeah, right here. It's gonna be a button. Click on that. It allows us to stay in touch so you can see my future videos, tips, tricks, and guides to living in Peru, and I'll see you soon.